Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Letter. In the last episode, we broke into the Briar Realty, going through some files. Ash's hopes and dreams were crushed under the weight of 1,000 no's. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Also, we were expecting a jump scare. Nothing.
Yet.
I'm waiting. The problem is, like, the suspense is, like, ramping up because I know it's coming.
Yeah.
She's going to show up here.
I kind of like that. I kind of like that they do that. That there's like so many moments where you're like, "Oh, this is it. Here's where it's coming," and then they don't, and it like keeps you. It just kind of like keeps you on your toes. I do like that. With renewed focus, I continue. On the third and last sheet, I spot another one. Beatrice Wilde, the one I recall from the newspaper obituaries.
Everybody's dead, man.
Died of a heart attack. A letter of correspondence expressing condolences to her family confirms as much in her files. Passed away at age 74 in her sleep.
She's at that age. It certainly could have been a natural death.
Well, and heart attack doesn't. A heart attack doesn't.
Heart attack isn't natural death.
Well, I think it's still considered like natural causes.
If you eat 90 bajillion cheeseburgers and clog your arteries and have a heart attack at 78 or whatever.
Yeah, but I still think
that's still not natural causes.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure, like, for legal purposes, it's considered natural causes, right? I'd like to believe so. But 3 more letters turn up while I rummage through the stack, and it leaves nothing more than a foreboding feeling in me. They're all addressed to families of clients who have passed away in the past week. Oh, okay.
Shit.
Regardless, these go into the pile of things worth looking into after a visit here, along with William's info sheet. There are just so many names, so many faces, each one I've seen that day, and here I am wondering if they're all alright. It isn't a selfless thought that brings the question to mind, rather it's the logic that if more of them are still alive, the more people I can choose to question. Nothing's concrete yet, of course, there's just speculations, but we're making progress. Once done with the sign-in sheets, I stash it along with the growing pile to my left and pull out as many other documents, as many of the other documents Isabella has already prepared for me. We're working through the employee lists now, those who have been assigned to the mansion. Because if Isabella was to be believed, if what she's seen and what happened to Rose Cooper is because of the letter, I need to know everyone who has possibly read it aside from the 3 of us, if they've been noticing strange things too. For all I know, these may have just been a terrible coincidence. Although the thought of that starts to diminish as we dig into BRC's company files. 15 minutes later, the stack close to my elbow has risen from 5 to 21 different dossiers. Client and employee documentation, people who have either visited the open house or worked on the property in some capacity since the letter's discovery. Turns out there were 2 more employees who handled the mansion directly, aside from Cooper and Isabella. Christian Sy, the realty specialist, and Mark Julius Jean Marie, the estate appraiser.
This C guy, he was in custody just the other day.
Wait, what?
Really? Sir John has been looking for him. He stopped reporting to work a few weeks ago. Are you sure it's the same person?
Yep, this is him. Folks at the precinct said they went to his house after a noise complaint.
That's weird.
They found him just acting all crazy. Had to take him in when he started getting violent. He kept screaming about a woman.
Oh.
Oh, good. So now everyone's going nuts.
Oh. Immediately she stiffens. I don't want to bring it up or imply a connection to Isabella's story, but that is exactly what happened.
He was driving the guards mad, but he didn't last too long in there. A few hours in, and he just started bashing his own head against the wall, and, well, it was messy, to say the least.
Oh, no. We had no idea. Is he okay? HR just marked him as AWOL because none of their calls would get through.
He's in the hospital right now. I heard they're putting him into a psychiatric ward as soon as he recovers. He's still a bit unstable.
Jean Marie, on the other hand, his employee file notes his date of leaving and even when his final payment had been given. Along with it, there's a letter to his family about the appraiser being found dead in the office. Communication is hush-hush, and there's mention of compensation if they don't talk about it to the media. Oh. Inspector Abigail has often scolded me for not reading the reports on a regular basis, but I try to keep up to date as much as I can. When I do, I make sure I'm aware of the gist of what's going on in my city. This never reached the police's ears or the health and safety executive.
Do you know about this guy?
One glance at her says everything. They've hidden it from the media, they've kept it from the police. It's not surprising this will also be a secret from someone of Isabella's position in this company. Fuck.
Rose was looking for him last week. We haven't heard anything from him either until now. They never mentioned this to us.
Well, Pete's dead.
Business going under and someone dies while working here? Of course they want to keep that quiet. It's bad publicity. This whole thing is just getting freakier by the minute. Nevertheless, I hand the files for Isabella to make a copy of.
The pages with their names, addresses, and contact numbers will do. We'll start with the ones who live within the city.
My whole thing is, if you're like going under and you have a body in the office and you don't really have the cash, like how the hell are you going to pay for hush money to people? Because my God, I'm telling you.
That's what I'm wondering.
Like a member of my family passed away, there'd be hell or high water. I would take that to the media. There's no money that would compensate that.
That's
Unless
weird.
you didn't like this person.
Well, I'm also wondering too, I mean, there's not, they're all like linked together and it would lead to an investigation, but it doesn't sound like there's anything to go off of to specifically go after the realty company. Like, yes, all their employees are dying, but there's been no evidence to like link them together. So I don't think they would, I think like whatever small compensation they would get probably is worth it, because otherwise they have nothing. Sometimes there are things you can't really can't just brush off as mere coincidence. In my line of work, once a pattern pops up, it's only right to be suspicious. Especially the thing with C. It hits too close to the stuff my own friends have been telling me.
All of this?
It's considerably thinner than the one she brought in, yet somehow the way she hugs the folder close to herself makes it seem heavier. Like she's hanging onto it in the same manner one will latch on to a lifeline.
Only the noteworthy ones.
And those that might still be alive. Might. She doesn't need to know that.
We can't check the outside contractors, but the guys with the direct connection to BRC and the people who attended the open house should be enough. We don't have time to see how everyone's doing, especially if what you said is true.
For a second she appears to argue, then quickly decides against it and hides it away before anyone reads the question in her face. Then in a too abrupt motion, she turns around towards the copier and gets to work. Soon only the machine's constant thrum fills the air around us while I keep myself busy cleaning up the mess we've made. The lack of talk is awkward, to put it mildly, disturbing at worst. I've gotten so used to just letting her just babble away whenever it's just the two of us. I could tell, however, she wants to do more. She wants to fix this mess herself, and that desire makes her antsy. But at the same time, she's learning how not to be impulsive or stubborn, exactly as I've told her yesterday before agreeing to do any of this. Or maybe these so-called changes have always been with her. Dire situations have always pushed people to change, after all. Although seeing this happen in front of me only makes it difficult to find the proper things to say. In an atmosphere this tense and charged, what is left for us to talk about? Certainly not the news. What's worse is when you only realize all of this in hindsight, right after you've already ran your mouth off.
You know, for a house your company seems to be in a hurry to sell, they still made quite a fortune out of it. Look at this. 1, 2, 3... 6. Are you sure they're planning to give your entire share for this? This isn't a small amount, especially given the usual cut. And their accounting department isn't in the greatest shape either.
Even if they don't, it's not like someone still needs it.
And there's the reason why people don't let me talk.
Did she just admit it?
I think so. That's sad. Silence once again descends throughout the room, denser compared to the ones we've shared tonight. Behind me, I can still hear her movements, sharp and precise, while she feeds the originals to the machine. Then, with one last click, all of it stops. Her feet shuffles lightly against the floor when she moves away. Something creaks softly, probably the table as she settles her weight against its side. But this time, an apology is already at the tip of my tongue, but...
Well,
Papa's gone, Ash.
Yeah.
Within those scant few seconds, everything between us shifts as the gravity of our words sinks. Right then and there, something harsh and immovable rises between us. Death is something I'm familiar with, almost 10 years in the police force, and it's impossible not to be acquainted with it. But this is different from those dead bodies we examined in forensics, a far cry from the victims we found on a bad investigation. Those I could easily distance myself from. No emotional attachments, no need for pretenses. Yet somehow I still find myself grasping for things to tell her. Any words of comfort that'll dull the pain.
It's so hard, though, because she wasn't there the last, I forget how many years, too, because she's been trying to get the money to afford it.
Right. Because even without looking at her, her grief feels palpable enough, her pain, an immutable weight hanging over us. So I gently offer,
know which one this makes sense. Like, some people need to stay busy to just forget it, like, just to, like, keep their mind off it.
Yeah.
And then other people want to
want to talk about. Yeah. I feel like that's not... Like, I feel like this one is gonna have, like, us ignoring her.
Yeah, let's do the bottom one.
When?
Oh, we did good.
Okay, good.
Huh? When what?
Your dad. I mean, when did you find out?
She doesn't answer. Not immediately, anyway. For a long moment, the hush simply stretches out before us, spanning across the seconds we let pass while we both simply stand there waiting. Eventually, she exhales. Lightly, muted enough that I might have missed it had I not been paying attention to her every movement.
Yesterday, around 3 in the afternoon there, Mama called. She told me he passed away in his sleep, and I guess I can take comfort in that, huh? That Papa wasn't in any pain when...
She trails off, releases another ragged breath hidden underneath her chuckles. Each one's mirthless, heavy with nothing but sorrow. Then she falters into silence, and for all my attempts at lightening her burden, I'm suddenly at a loss. Reassurances could only do so much when her only reason for staying here has suddenly been taken from her, a hope yanked from under her feet right after it was generously given. And without that, without the one person who pushes her to endure all of the shit she's going through, means nothing but a struggle. What does one say to a person fraying at the edges, slowly wearing thin and breaking? Are words even enough? What right do I have anyway? I cannot give her anything apart from lies that changed me as a person and affections she may or may not even want for herself. Because no matter how easy she has wormed herself into our lives, how immutable her presence has become, her own heart will always yearn for something else. For
Tell
home.
me about him.
Huh? About what?
Your dad. Tell me about him. Anything. Just talk. Say anything you want. Doesn't matter what it is. I'll listen.
Silence again, as if she's testing the weight of my question, for what purpose it is, for a reason even I can't say right now. After a while, though, she starts, reluctantly, her voice hitching, faltering, and stumbling on each syllable as she chooses her words. A rough start, but soon it steadies, and along with it, to keep company, the stories from childhood and memories she's fond of are the tears. Despite this, in spite of the grief choking her words off, the hurt closing her throat, and the sobs racking her lithe form, she continues, like the mere act of speaking is a relief in itself. A release. She tells me of her father, the very person who named her, how she looked up to him, how she was a bit of a tomboy growing up in her attempts to imitate him, and how the man encouraged her to pursue what she really wanted. Perhaps even the only thing she ever did for herself, having grown up not wanting anything more than food to put on their tables.
He told me I don't have to listen to them. That I can do what I want. Every day, he'd wake up at 4, Ash. Because he'd earn more that way. And every single time, he'd give them to me. Whatever extra he earned, he'd hand them all. So I'd have something to use for my paintings. And you know what? Back home, just a good tube of paint costs almost as much as what we spend for food the whole day. But he'd always set something aside. Told me he wanted to see my paintings in a museum one day.
She pours all of it out, every little thing she loved and admired about him. Like this, it's easy to see why she has gone to such great lengths for him, why she abandoned her dreams, why she went against his wishes, just to grant him another chance at life. Others will say it's her warmth that draws people to her, or her cheer. Neither are wrong, but neither is the whole truth to her either. Because those who have never bothered to look beyond the surface will never see her. See someone earnest, someone who has always meant well despite her underlying stubbornness. This is how she loves, warm, steadfast, unflinching. You never meet many people like her, not in my line of work, not with the kind of people I've had to deal with. Always with something to hide, always with something to lie about. Eventually, when you run across too many of them, you change. You become like them. In many ways, for a lot of reasons, she's the kind of person I want to be and be around. Who made me feel I'm still worth something.
He didn't want me to leave. Begged. I could finish my studies first. In the end, I couldn't even grant him that one request. I'm a terrible daughter, aren't I?
You're not.
No, you needed to go make the money to make sure he could get treatment for as long as he did.
Yeah.
You're not. I can't speak for your dad. I haven't even met the man. But I know you're not.
I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. The remark just came out. Now I'm stringing all of these together as I go. But one thing is certain, none of what I'm about to say is a
The
lie.
Isabella I know is a total klutz, but I've never seen anyone work as hard as she does. She's the type who wears her heart on her sleeve. Though it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's always in the right place. She's intimidated by a lot of stuff, but she knows how to appreciate the smallest things in life. Frankly, you've caused us no small amount of trouble since you barged into our lives, but when I'm with you, all of my worries seem trivial.
Heat has already crept up my face when the turn this whole thing is about to take registers. Before I blurt the rest of it out, declare feelings I'm not even ready to reveal to anyone, much less to her, my hand comes up to smother the rest of it. Though embarrassment quickly takes the reins before I can completely clamp my mouth shut.
And I'm pretty sure Zach and Becca think the same way. You have a nasty way of growing on people like that, and you know what? We got everything we needed in here. I'll just wipe the security recordings and we're good to go. While I'm at it, you better wipe the snot off your face. And you don't look very nice when you're balding like that.
You were doing so well.
Oh, she's gonna punch you in the face.
Hastily, I gather everything, the personnel files, client documents, sales agreements, and contracts, anything my hands could reach. In record time, all of it has been stacked in a neat pile ready for storage. I'm heading for the records room not a few seconds later. Wherever that is. It should be easy to find unless the place is a maze of some sort, which I highly doubt. Still beats staying here and seeing the look on her face. Crap. Really, her anger is still bearable. I can take that, including the glower she sends my way.
So, yeah, I'll go get the security videos and put these back where you pulled them from. Man, these are heavy, you know?
Ash, it's just paper. You don't even know where I...
Oh, no, I can handle this. Easy as pie. And, yeah, security cams, tapes, videos, cams.
You are mumbling.
Yeah, I'm off.
A rejection at this point? Maybe. Maybe not yet. Getting the files back to BRC's archive room is a cinch. With the documents back in their proper places, I lock the door behind me, tugging it twice just to make sure. Now on to the next business. Removing the evidence of our little excursion here, at the very least, the parts showing that what we've been doing during the past hour. Can't have our faces plastered on the security footage showing us breaking the law, as it were. I'm going to have to wipe the data for Isabella's access card entries too. Surprisingly, finding the security room proves a breeze. What will be tricky is getting inside. The fact that no one has walked out during the whole time we've been here means the room is either empty or the security sound asleep. I'm banking more on the former. If they're cutting corners and firing agents, I have no doubt they fired the guy stationed here if they have anyone watching the monitors in the first place. It's a rather common thing for establishments, just leave security recording indefinitely and only check the footage if something actually happens. Just to check, I press my ear against the door, listening for a sign of anyone occupying the room. Uh-oh. For a long minute, and nothing, I give the knob a few rattles.
Standard lock and key. Should be easy enough to pick.
What is he doing?
He's picking the lock to get into the security room.
No. I thought he got locked in the freaking file room.
God. That would be bad. Kind of funny. We have lockpick sets, but those are only to be used if necessary and with a search warrant. Even then, it's a skill set rarely needed. Subtlety isn't on a cop's priority if they have authority to search the premises. Bolt cutters and brute force are the favored methods. If those fail, we call a locksmith. Me, I prefer the good old hairpin trick when those options aren't available. Besides, they're easy to hide and store for emergencies. Running my hand through my hair, I pull a pair of bobby pins. Two of these and I can just about open any standard lock. One makes a lever and the other makes a handle. I won't call it a complex skill, but it certainly takes time and a lot of practice to successfully pick a lock.
What were you doing as a kid, Ash?
Right?
Picking locks?
Good thing I've practiced with them for a bit in my college years. I learned more when they're accessible and standard issue for a law enforcement officer. A wiggle here, click there. I managed to seize all the pins in the locking mechanism soon enough. With a slight turn of the knob, the security room's ripe for the picking. The room's odor hits me first, a sharp, nauseating stench as if someone has accidentally spilled a gallon of bleach in the room. I have a bad feeling about this, and we'll just have to explore that bad feeling in the next episode.
What, is this where the body was found? That's the only reason I can think it smells like bleach.
Oh, there's a body in here? I thought maybe it might be our ghost friend.
Oh, that too.
That she's in here. We're going to turn around, and there she is.
There's a lot of fuzzy footage, too.
Yeah, we'll just
lovely.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens next time. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.